Do you dictate currently but feel that there's a lot of technical barriers to it? Or do you dictate and get tired of all the cleanup that you have to do because the transcription is a little messy? Are you wanting maybe to dictate but find the whole process intimidating and having to speak differently and buy all this equipment intimidating as well? Well, I'm reviewing an app today that I think solves a lot of problems that I honestly didn't expect us to get here so quickly with all of the AI and technology that's going on right now. Today, we're going to be talking about ProseWrite. ProseWrite is an app, and I believe a leap forward that solves all the problems that I just listed. So let me give you all the fast facts up front about this app. Pricing wise, this is a subscription-based app, and I know a lot of you are just going to tune out just based on the fact that I've said that. I'm just doing you a courtesy and letting you know up front instead of having you watch to the end of the video. However, there is an a la carte option as well for those who are not necessarily interested in subscriptions. First and foremost, it allows you to dictate on any device, whether you have a Mac computer, Windows computer, or Linux computer, or even if you want to dictate in the browser, this has you covered. It allows you to transcribe your dictations somewhere in the ballpark of 20 to 30 seconds on average, even for very long files. It provides extremely accurate dictation that blows Dragon out of the water. It edits your text before it presents it to you, eliminating the cleanup problem, so you get very, very clean transcribed text, which is, I think, the best part about this app. And it allows you to dictate using everyday equipment. So I've gotten great results dictating with my AirPods Pro as opposed to lugging around a voice recorder or having to use a fancy microphone, which lowers the barrier of entry for a lot of people. And finally, just some disclosures. I did provide a lot of feedback to the development team in the creation of this app. It's something that I have switched to using exclusively for my dictation. And you guys know that I dictate a lot. So it's a pretty big move for me to do that. I do receive a small commission for anyone who does sign up for a subscription. So consider signing up through my link, but you certainly don't have to do that. Though the pricing may not be for everyone, the app is simple to use, and I'm going to do a quick demo. But first, let me paint a picture for you. If you dictate like I do currently, you're probably following a process that is something like this. Version 1 of this method is that you use an app like Dragon and you sit in front of your computer, speak your words, and watch as they become text, and you correct the text as you go. Version 2 of this is very similar, but you speak into your phone or a voice recorder, and then you upload that MP3 to Dragon, have it transcribe everything, and then clean it up. Now, if you've ever used Dragon, you know that it is not a perfect transcription. It can be pretty good if you're using the right equipment, if you're speaking correctly, and if you understand how the app works. However, there is a lot of cleanup that people have to do, and so you might spend the same amount of time that you spent dictating the work as you would cleaning it up. And then when you're done, you start all over again and you continue where you left off, either dictating in front of your screen or dictating on a device. So let's talk about the pain points because they are numerous. Pain point number 0 is that if you're a Mac user, you can't use Dragon to begin with because Dragon has been discontinued for Mac. So that's public enemy number 1, which we're going to talk about. Pain point number 1 is the fact that there's a technological barrier. You have to purchase an app like Dragon, and you have to be able to learn how to use it. And some people are intimidated by the types of microphones that you have to buy, and there's just a lot there. All right, I have to admit that. Pain point number 2 is that you have to speak a certain way if you want to use an app like Dragon, or any dictation app for that matter. You've got to speak clearly, and in the case of Dragon, you've got to speak what I call Dragonese, which is, hello, comma, my name is Michael Laron, period. So nice to meet you, exclamation point. And that just gets a little tedious for some people. And pain point number 3, which honestly I think is the big one and that turns a lot of people off of dictation, is the cleanup. Nobody wants to be able to be a speed demon when you're dictating your novels and be able to dictate 2 or 3 times faster than you write, only to have to spend 2 or 3 times longer at the keyboard cleaning up your dictation. It just doesn't work. There are ways around that, and I found them, but they are not for the faint of heart. So that was the dictation of yesterday, and I use yesterday very deliberately. So it's September 2024 as I record this, and about a year, maybe 18 months, a little bit longer, I can't quite remember, OpenAI came out with a new audio model called Whisper. And what Whisper does is it takes audio and transcribes it using natural language processing in ways that are more accurate and faster than apps like Dragon. So there has been a proliferation of Whisper-based apps that essentially do the same thing that Dragon does, but do it faster and in many cases more accurately. And the great thing about it is that these apps are available on all different types of platforms, not just Windows. The problem with these Whisper apps, and I've tested a lot of them, and they all have the same problem, is that they're not fine-tuned for dictating a novel like Dragon is. So you don't have to speak your punctuation. You can speak more naturally, and they are faster and in many cases more accurate. But for fiction, not so great because there are just problems that the model is not trained on that are unique to us. So the developers of this app, ProseWrite, reached out to me and said, hey, we are developing an app that takes the best of Dragon, takes the best of the current Whisper applications, and by the way, it also edits your text after you dictate it so that you can dictate faster and more accurately. So naturally, that got my attention. So I tested the app, ran it through its paces, gave some feedback to the developers, and I can tell you that this is a huge leap forward in terms of what ProseWrite can do. This is a game changer for anybody who dictates or who wants to dictate. All the barriers have been eliminated at this point, and the only thing that exists is whether or not you want to pay for it, because it is a subscription-based app. So this blows Dragon out of the water. I have switched over to using this program, and I hope that you guys will consider it and take a look at the rest of the video. So we're here inside ProseWrite, and we're going to create a new project. All right, so I'm just going to call this YouTube story, and we're going to click this create button here. And it'll tell you the project is created successfully. And they allow you to add custom words. So for example, if you've got proper nouns, like a character name that might not be obvious, you can type that in here and hit enter, and then it'll create it. And you can click it and it will go away as well. So there's proper noun support, which for fiction writers, particularly fantasy writers, that is a big deal. So you do not have to do the whole find and replace dance, you know, all that stuff. So you can add custom words to your lists, and it will automatically understand what those are. And probably about 95% of the time, it should get them right. Okay, so here is where the rubber meets the road with ProseWrite. There are different things called personas, and you can pick a persona that will transcribe your audio and then do something to it based on what the persona is created for. Now, the beauty of ProseWrite, and I think this is a big selling point, is that it will transcribe your audio and then it will scrub your audio and fix typos before it presents it to you. So in a way, it almost eliminates the cleanup problem, which is really, really cool. So there are it can do various levels of editing. So the one that I prefer is Minima, and it's just going to do a straight transcription of your text, and it's going to fix obvious typos. Okay. Now there's also the Fiction Writer. I'll show a demo of that as well. It will do more editing. You can ask it to do editing on enhancing your prose and adding additional description and things like that. Personally, not for me, but there's some people who might want to do that and take advantage of that. And then the third one that I just want to mention is the Note Taker, which is really cool because say you're not a dictator. Just say, hey, Michael, I just prefer to go on a walk and talk through my stories and talk through ideas that I'm having or things that I want to research. You can go do that, go walk around your block, and then upload the audio. And then what it will do is it will organize everything into a neatly ordered and logical transcription so that you can take that and then do with it what you will. So that's a really cool feature that I don't want people to sleep on. And then there's some other personas here. I'm not going to go into these. There are quite a few personas. I don't think the majority of people watching this channel are going to use anything more than the first three. So we're going to do a quick test, and we're going to do the Minima persona. And there are no additional editing features associated with that, so we'll talk about that later. And then we're going to upload our audio. All right, so I've uploaded one audio file, but ProseWrite does support batch uploading. So you can upload multiple files if that is something that you are interested in, which just saves you a ton of time. And we're going to come down here and we're going to name this chapter. So this is a story I'm dictating. We'll just call it part 1. And then we're going to click create section. And then it's going to upload the files, and I'm not going to edit this in any way. Okay. So I'm just going to talk while it transcribes it, just so you can see how long it takes to transcribe. So you're going to see this little progress bar, and it is going to circle around for a little bit. And what I have found is that I wait about 30 seconds or so. And so I don't know, it's been, yeah, there we go. So that's how quickly the transcription took. All right. So I didn't edit that. I did a jump cut after it was done. All right. So we're going to click on this, and then you can see here, it has the edited text, which is this story that I've been writing. So I'm just going to leave this here. You can take a look at it and you can see how clean this is. Now, remember, I spoke all of this organically. If I had run this same audio file through Dragon, it would have been a mess, and I would have had to spend a lot of time cleaning it up. It did all of this in like less than 30 seconds. That's unbelievable. So as you can see here, this is the original transcription. So this is what it transcribed before it edited everything. So you can see I was saying things that you would normally say, like new line, and I said open quote, period, close quote, all that stuff, just so I could be sure that it understood what I was trying to do. And it took all of that and took it up into what it made before. So that was really, really cool. Now, if you go down here, there's also a summary. So it tells you what happens in the story. You can use that if you want. Not a huge deal for me. So when I'm ready to export this, I can export it as a text file. It also goes into Markdown for all my friends who use Ulysses. I'm sure you'd appreciate that. And then it also can export as a docx, or I can just simply click this little button here and copy it to my clipboard and then go and paste it into Scrivener or Microsoft Word or wherever you happen to want to use your text. And it will go in as plain text. Now, one of the things that the ProseWrite team has told me is that you really don't need to speak your punctuation. And in some cases, speaking punctuation inconsistently can mess up the model and give you bad results. Now, in my experience, I think new line makes a lot of sense. Your open quotations and closed quotations make sense, but play around with this and see what sort of results you can get, because the less punctuation you speak, the better this is going to perform and the faster you can dictate to. Now, this is a straight transcription. All right. So I happen to think this is pretty amazing. And I've tested this for dozens of hours of dictation. The results are very consistent. Now, what the ProseWrite team has told me is that they use a proprietary blend of the OpenAI models and some other things that are out there. So this is not straight OpenAI. And for those of you who are concerned about privacy, they are committed to privacy. They're not interested in taking your data or anything like that. Your data is only used for the purposes of transcription, and then it gets deleted from their servers. So the audio does not remain on the servers, and it is not used to train any models, which is a huge plus for me and something that I interrogated them quite thoroughly about. And also, all of your data is going to be encrypted, and you have to give them permission to look at your manuscripts if you were to have any sort of technical issue. So they take that very seriously. And in all the conversations I've had with the development team, I feel pretty good about their commitment to data privacy here. Let's run that same audio file through another persona so you can get another flavor of how this works. Okay, so I'm going to go down here and I'm going to select Sean, the fiction writer. Now, this will populate a different menu. So these are different things that you can have it help you edit. So for voice and tone maintenance, if I hover over this tooltip, it'll say keep the author's unique style intact. It'll help you potentially with show, don't tell. It might help you with some more sophisticated vocabulary, pacing adjustment, all stuff that you're very familiar with that could potentially help enhance your fiction. So you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to select enhanced description. I'm going to do adverb minimization and sensory language and metaphor use. Those I think would probably be the most useful. We're going to upload that same audio file and we're going to call it part 1 alternative. And I'm going to keep the clock running and you can see how long it takes to transcribe this. So what we're going to see is we're going to see that it edited the transcription, but it also took it a little bit further and introduced some additional elements that were not there previously, because it's going to help enhance the description. It's going to minimize adverbs and all of that. So keep the clock running and we can see how many seconds this takes, but I imagine it's probably going to be pretty similar to the first one. Yeah. So that was like probably less than 30 seconds. Okay. So we're going to click in and you can see this looks a little bit different. So you can pause, take a look at this, and you can see that there are some different things that it has inserted in here. So you can see here, at least I can see it's added some additional description. Now, me personally, this is not to my taste. I don't think that the AI models are writing fiction that is very good right now. And I'm just also a fan of writing all my own words so that my readers know that all the words that I write come from me. But that said, there is a time and a place for this if people are interested in it. So test it out, see what you think. It could be for you. So this is the app in a nutshell. That's it. That's all this app does. And it does it amazingly well. Now, if I had to make some criticisms of this, the first one would be that the design, it's not the prettiest app in the world to look at, but it does what it needs to do. And I think at some point they're going to redesign it and work with it. But this is in beta. They're trying to prove a concept, and they get enough subscribers. I think that problem will work itself out. But other than that, this is one of those few apps that works exactly how you would expect it to work and does everything that you would expect it to do. Oh, and another thing I wanted to mention is that there is support for different types of English spelling. If you're British and you want the app to adjust to the type of spelling in your region, you can set that on your account and then it will adjust. So I think that's pretty cool. Okay, so let's talk about pricing for ProseWrite here. I'm just going to focus on the pricing plan that I think makes sense for the vast majority of people who are watching this video, and that is paying a la carte. So ProseWrite allows you to use the app by uploading audio to it without a subscription plan, and you pay $3.50 per audio hour. So to give you a really clean example, I went on an hour-long walk and I dictated a short story that was 2,500 words. I'd pay $3.50. Okay. This is perfect for authors who don't dictate every day. It's perfect for authors who dictate when you can. It's great because you're not locked into a subscription plan. So if you get sick one month and you're not able to dictate as much, I just think that this is going to be the most affordable way for most people to use this app. And it gives you the benefit of not only a transcription that is fast and accurate, you also get the benefit of having it lightly edited, which is going to drastically reduce the amount of time that you're going to spend in cleanup. And in my opinion, that's worth paying for. Now, you can do the math and figure out what that would cost you over the period of a novel. And the way to do that is to simply figure out, on average, how many words do you dictate in an hour? And then just do the math over the course of a book and how frequently you're going to dictate. And then you can do the math over the period of a year. That's going to be what you would pay if you went the a la carte route. Again, I'm going to recommend that most people at least start with a la carte. I think that's going to make the most sense. Now I'm going to put the subscription plan numbers here. You can pay for these monthly or you can pay for them annually. I think a la carte is so much better suited to how most writers are going to be working, meaning you're probably not going to be writing every day. And you don't want to have to worry about it if you get sick or if you have to go on vacation, that sort of thing. And you also have to remember that ProseWrite has other people that they're targeting for this as well. So they're also targeting businesses and other industries and sectors. And I think the subscriptions are going to be better suited for those industries, not necessarily for a writer, unless you happen to be a power user and you want that lower hourly rate. So again, you heard it from me. I think a la carte is the way to go. So there's a lot going on this slide, but what I'm going to start doing when there's a subscription-based app that I review is I'm going to dive deeply into who this is for and who should consider it. Okay. So there really are three different types of dictators out there right now. I guess I love saying the word dictator. The first type, which is the rarest type, is the author that goes off and dictates and then has a human transcriptionist transcribe the work. That's a whole nother planet, right? And that's expensive. That is extremely expensive. I'm pretty sure it's going to be a lot cheaper to do ProseWrite than a human transcriptionist. Those are the people who are dictating right now who I think have the most to gain from an app like ProseWrite. All right. Now, there's also the people who are using Dragon. All right. So you should consider ProseWrite if your book sales allow you to afford the pricing. You should use it if you're a power dictator like me, who dictates a lot, and the cleanup and all of the administrative stuff that comes afterward would slow you down. If you're spending more time cleaning up your transcribed text than it takes you to dictate, I really think you should take a look at ProseWrite. And if you don't want to speak Dragonese, which I know a lot of people don't, then, there's some Dragonese you have to speak, I think, to get the most optimal results from ProseWrite, but it's significantly reduced. Okay. And another thing to think about is that the writing is kind of on the wall for Dragon, guys. With apps like this, I don't know if Dragon's going to be around much longer, to be honest with you. And if it goes away, then what are you going to do? So in the future, if that ever happens, then this should be an app that you take a look at. Okay. Now, there are also people out there who are dictating now using Whisper-based apps, either on a phone or in a browser. And those people should consider ProseWrite if you're spending more time cleaning up your dictated text than it takes you to dictate it. Because a lot of Whisper-based apps that I've tested, you do have to do a lot of cleanup, even though you can speak organically. It kind of sounds like an oxymoron, but if you use these apps, you know what I'm talking about. And then if you want better accuracy, ProseWrite is going to be better than a lot of the Whisper-based apps on the market. And if you want fewer steps in the process, a lot of people are dictating with Whisper and then copying and pasting into ChatGPT or just cleaning up the text. If you want fewer steps in that process, then ProseWrite is going to be very good for you. Because this is a subscription-based app and because, rewriters are pretty price sensitive, I hope that this will be helpful in encouraging you to take a look at this if you happen to fall in the camp of people that I think ProseWrite would benefit the most. So I want to know from you, what do you think about this app? And I know there's going to be some people that talk about subscriptions. I get it. But if you're currently a dictator, is this interesting to you? If you're not a dictator and maybe you have wanted to but have been intimidated, does this lower the barrier of entry for you? And if you are somebody that spends a lot of time cleaning up your text, is an app like this valuable to you? If you're interested in getting started with ProseWrite, you can go there by going to ProseWrite.com, or you can use my affiliate link at authorlevelup.com/ProseWrite. In the meantime, I got a story to dictate. Peace.